Sorry. No worries. One second on the floor.
Okay, so the recording has started and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Spengler.
Good afternoon. I would like to call to order the scheduled meeting of the Higher Education Capital Matching Program, HECAP Board. I would like to welcome those of you joining us today in person and via Zoom. At this time, for the record, I would ask the members or their designees to identify themselves. My name is Michael Spengler, representing Governor Kathy.
Hi, I'm Assemblywoman Pat Fahey, representing the Assembly Higher Education Committee.
I'm Toby Ann Stavisky, representing the New York State Senate.
I would also like to thank DASNY and its staff who serve the HECAP board. At this time, I would like to introduce Karen Hunter, DASNY's Director of Grants Administration, who will introduce her staff.
Thank you. My name is Karen Hunter. I'm the Director of the Grants Administration Unit here at DASNY. My staff that work for the HECAP board are Ann Shaw, who's in the city. I also have Deanne DePace and Sean Rosny, who are here in the boardroom with us, and as well as Danielle DeSorbo, Brian Brooks, and Michaela Mullen.
At this time, I would like to move the items on today's agenda. The first item being the election of the chair for the HECAP.
Make a motion on that. Happy to make a motion for the election of the chair.
All right, Assemblyman Fahey motions. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the board's July 14th, 2022 meeting. Are there any comments or corrections?
None.
Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Happy to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The next item is the adoption of the bylaws. Are there any comments or corrections?
No, I
have
assume that.
I have one comment, and that is that in two of the succeeding parts of the agenda, I may have some comments that reflect upon the bylaws, but I think the bylaws as presented should be approved.
Okay, thank you. In that case, then I would ask for a motion to approve bylaws.
And I'm happy to make that motion again.
Happy to second it.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 This time, I would like Ms. Hunter to provide us with a status update on the previously awarded grants and a summary of the applications received in the fifth request for grant applications.
Okay, thank you very much. So to summarize the HECAP program, competitive round one, all eligible projects have been paid in full and round one is officially closed. For round two, approximately $67 million was awarded to 39 institutions in 2018. And of those projects, 25 have fully executed GDAs, 12 grantees withdrew their projects from the program, and 2 are still in process. For competitive round three, approximately $21.2 million was awarded to 35 institutions in 2019. Of those projects, 10 have fully executed GDAs, 8 have withdrawn, and 17 are still in process. For competitive round four, approximately $57.2 million was awarded to 35 institutions in 2021 for projects to be completed between September 1st, 2020 and September 1st, 2024. And I will note that the end date for those awards was extended due to COVID. Of those projects, 7 have fully executed grant disbursement agreements, 9 have withdrawn, and 19 are still in process. And that brings us to our competitive round 5, which the board is considering today. We have $65 million available from this request for grant applications, which was issued September 16th, 2022, with projects to be completed between September 1st, 2022 and September 1st, 2025. We received 34 applications totaling $66.8 million. A team of 5 DASNY grant unit staff reviewed those project applications for eligibility and financial readiness. Applications that received a minimum score of 70 were to be awarded grants. There were 30 applicants who achieved a 70 or above, with projects totaling approximately $63.6 million. And these awards are for your consideration today. They are included as an attachment to the resolution before you.
All right. That brings us to our next item of business, a resolution to award HECAP grants to the institutions set forth in the resolution before the members for their consideration. Are there any questions regarding this?
Just a very quick question on the number that were withdrawn in previous years. Is that due to COVID complications with delays, supply chain, things of that nature? Or is that, was that somewhat expected?
Yeah, there's a variety of reasons why they might choose to withdraw. In some cases, it was COVID. Projects that were envisioned prior to COVID just weren't going to be going forward as envisioned, and those institutions made the decision to make that withdrawal. We also have some institutions that decide not to utilize the funds because of the prevailing wage requirement. So we've just a variety of reasons.
But it's always had the prevailing wage requirement, has it?
It has.
It just adds.
It adds, and they
financial
just decide that they're not going to go forward with that. They also have to meet the MWBE requirements, and that's something we can help them with, and we do offer waivers if they make best efforts and prove to us what they've tried to do. So, but it's we've had withdrawals that over each round, and those funds go back into the program for subsequent awards.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, well, I have a partial question and a statement. In the past, I have ascertained the fact that the unappropriated funds are reappropriated for future awards. Is that correct?
That's
You're
correct.
rolling over the
Mhm.
appropriation.
Yes.
You mentioned a $65 million amount and 62 point something was awarded. So there's presumably a 2 point something reappropriation for next year's matching HECAP money.
The difference that wasn't utilized for round 5 is included in the round 6 amount that we'll be offering.
That's what I'm asking. I want to make 2 points that trouble me. Number one, the number of round 2 approvals where the contract is not closed. And for a variety of reasons in round 2 and round 3, there are institutions, some of whom are receiving grants today, if so approved. And that bothers me because it seems to me we ought to simply, once they're appropriated and there's an expiration date, that's it. In Albany, I understand it's called pencil down, which seems appropriate. And I think we ought to make an effort to clean up the round 2 and round 3 appropriations that have not been fully either, even if they've been spent, the book should be able to be closed on that. Second point, which troubled me even more, was a story in today's New York Times about how 2 institutions dealt with property taxes. But I am concerned about one of the statements in the Times, which said that a reduced percentage of the applicants are from New York State. And I think we ought to take a look and include need as well as the other points in your matrix for awarding the fund, your formula for awarding the funds. I'm not suggesting this is an immediate question, but I think it's something we ought to think about for the future. And if legislation is necessary, if it's in the statute, I would be happy to work with DASNY and whomever else, because I really believe that the smaller institutions with smaller endowments, and this is not the first time I've raised that issue, I've raised it privately on a number of occasions. I think we have to take a look at how we can help the smaller independent colleges from going under. We're losing these colleges, or some of them are on the brink of closure, and we've got to do what we can to help them. because there are a lot of students involved, and I think they deserve the same opportunity.
Senator, do you mean just so I understand what, as I have a little history on these grants, do you mean in terms of some of the grant awards or giving special consideration when there is a financially a college that has a smaller endowment proportionally
Yes.
compared?
That was one way of dealing with it. There must be other ways too of the way we award TAP is a needs-based award based on family income, et cetera. And that concept, not the specifics, but the idea that institutions have special needs. And I think we have to address, and I am not in any way attacking the two institutions at all. My father had a master's degree in geology from one, and my husband had a master's and a PhD in history and taught at one of their college graduate schools. I am a big fan of both institutions, but I think I'm a bigger fan of trying to help the smaller ones survive, who may have a problem meeting the 3-to-1 match, or even those that are not in financial difficulty. We've got to, I think, try to even the score, so to speak. It's something I think we ought to think about, nothing else.
Is that something that's legislated in terms of scoring criteria, or is that is there any consideration given to the strength of the institution or the size of the institution?
I believe it's in the statute, but I'm not an attorney, so I can't answer that really.
There would need to be some statutory change, I think, to
Statutory.
what she's
Okay,
looking for.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
okay, I think you raised excellent points, and happy to follow up with you as well.
Sure.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Just one other, I thought something came across my desk that said I may need to recuse myself on some of this because my husband is on the faculty at RPI, Rensselaer Polytechnic. I don't see it on this list, so I'm not sure if that's a moot point.
I think that's moot for this round.
It's moot for this round. That's what I assumed. I just saw it come across the desk. Want to make sure okay, thank you.
All right, I would then ask for a motion to approve the resolution.
Happy to make the motion on approving the resolution.
Thank you, Assembly Member. Do I have a second?
You have a second
Thank you,
from
Senator.
150 miles away.
But it works.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
At this time, I would like Ms. Hunter to provide us with a summary of the process for the 6th competitive request for grant applications.
Okay, the board is being now asked to authorize a request for grant applications to solicit and award HECAP grants for the 6th competitive round. The draft RGA was provided to members for their review, and it is substantially similar to prior requests for grant applications, just with changes to reflect the amounts available. This RGA will be up to 50 million in available funds for HECAP projects to be completed between September 1st, 2023, September 1st, 2026. The funding available is comprised of the $40 million HECAP funds authorized in this year's enacted state budget, as well as rollover amounts from prior rounds. This resolution is before you for your consideration. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Does that, I have one question. Does that take into account the institutions who have withdrawn?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
The next item of business is to adopt the 6th request for grant
Did you
application.
need a motion on the other one? On the 5th?
Yeah, we did the award
Okay.
round.
Great, thank you.
Starting again, the next item of business, to adopt the 6th request for grant applications and the process. Are there any questions regarding this?
No.
Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve.
Happy to make a motion on the 6th round.
Remember, do I have a second?
Have a second.
Senator? All in favor?
Aye.
This concludes the new business before the board. Is there any other business to come before the board today?
None on my end, but happy to follow up on the senator's recommendations if possible.
Thank you all. I'd like to thank DASNY staff again for their work done to date. We are now adjourned. It is 1:23 p.m.
Sorry, one other thing, I don't think,
Okay.
sorry, right before you adjourn, I don't think this is relevant either, but I was sent, I need a, notary to certify that I am on this board. Something I was sent in the mail, the governor's office, is that, okay,
We
I don't
can
know if
do that.
that can be done separately, I just want to make sure I've mentioned, okay. I'll set that on adjournment,
All right, so we're adjourned at 1:20. Thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you for your